Breaking news right now on MSNBC. Top secret, no more waterboarding, sleep deprivation, and confinement with insects. These are some of the Bush administration's CIA interrogation techniques detailed in a newly released memos. Let's get right to NBC News Justice correspondent Pete Williams. Pete, what else can you add to this?
Okay, these are memos that were prepared during the Bush administration authorizing the CIA to use specific interrogation methods. We're learning some of them for the first time in detail. Against Abu Zubaydah, for example, the CIA asked and received permission. They said he had a fear of insects, and they wanted to put an insect in his confinement box. But it would be harmless. They said it would be something like a caterpillar. And it's interesting the kind of details these memos go into. The Justice Department said it's okay to tell him that these insects might sting him, even though they wouldn't. But if you say that, you have to say that if they did sting him, they wouldn't cause permanent injury or death. That's the kind of legal strictures the CIA was operating under. They specifically say that waterboarding induces a feeling of suffocation and panic, but they go on to say that they don't believe that it was illegal as torture because it would not cause any permanent injury. And one of the things that these memos say is that waterboarding had been used against Americans in training, and therefore it was legal and wasn't illegal to apply against someone else. It also talks about something called walling, in which a false wall was constructed. The individual had, in essence, one of those sort of so-called sea collars that people take on the plane to sleep with that holds your head, and then they would be slammed repeatedly up against the wall, and this collar around them would prevent any whiplash, but the noise of that would cause shock. They could be slapped in the face. They could be held like this, immobilized. They could be slapped in various places, sort of shoved around the room. All these things were authorized by the CIA. Now, what Eric Holder, the Attorney General, said in releasing these memos is, first of all, the administration has repudiated all these techniques. Secondly, any CIA official, operative, contractor, agent, officer who carried out these techniques under the legal permission that he was given will not be prosecuted. The government will represent them if they're sued, and if there are any money damages, the government will pay those. He said it's simply not fair to look back under the standards of today and prosecute these people when they were given the legal permission of their government and orders to do what they did. And then President Obama, in a separate statement, said, this is time to look forward. It's not time to look back with retribution. We have to learn from our mistakes, but not punish those who did what they were told to do back in the Bush administration. Now, this is these memos have created a great deal of different kind of reaction. Human rights groups are criticizing the president for and the Attorney General for saying they won't prosecute the CIA. Pat Leahy, the chairman of the Judiciary Committee in the Senate, is saying this just shows that he ought to have hearings to try to get to the truth of what happened. Other members of the Senate are saying that they want to have hearings about this. So this is certainly not the end of the matter. But what's interesting is that while there are small redactions in places in these memos where things are blacked out, in the main, as you can look through these things, most of this is in the clear. And there was a big debate within the administration about just how forthcoming to be. The president says today, I think we should be forthcoming about these memos, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to respect the classification of the intelligence community, and don't assume that I'll be making all this stuff public.